So good evening, everyone. Before we start this meeting tonight, we have the pleasure of bringing on board our new councilor member. So I'm going to ask councilor-elect, until he gets to the podium, Greg Maychak, to come forward. Thanks for being here. I'm glad to have a few people in the audience to see this. So Greg, we're going to put you here because you need to do the swearing in. And our clerk has for you the Bible, and you know your oath of office that you need to read.
Thank you. I, Greg Maychak, having been elected or appointed to the office of councillor in the municipality of the Township of West Lincoln, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interests, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty, King Charles III, and I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously, believing it to be true and knowing that it is the same force and effect as if made under oath.
Yeah, so congratulations, and your township pin.
Do I say anything now or
No,
no?
you don't have to say anything. We're just going to take a minute. Do you want, Lisa, do you want a photo?
I did.
You got one. Okay, good.
Thank you.
That's the important part. So we're going to just take a second and get this out of the way, and then we're going to start our meeting. So bear with us. We will get this meeting underway. Okay, thank you. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to this council meeting of the Township of West Lincoln. Today is Monday, November 25th, and this is meeting number 18. Please stand if you are able for the singing of O Canada. Tonight is presented by Cairn Christian School. So we used to sing without music, and then we had music without singing. It sounds like we're working our way back into half and half, and that's a good thing. So before beginning this council meeting this evening, I'd like to provide the following announcements. The public may submit comments for matters that are on the agenda to jpaylove@westlincoln.ca before 4:30 on the day of the meeting. Comments submitted will be considered as public information and read into the public record. And secondly, this meeting is being live streamed as well as recorded, and will be available on the township's website. I'm going to begin the meeting with the land acknowledgement statement. The Township of West Lincoln, being part of Niagara Region, is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hattaway-Wendourong, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The Township of West Lincoln, as part of the Regional Municipality of Niagara, stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. And Councillor Trombetta, you have the opening petition tonight.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. We gather to make decisions for our community. May we use our best skills and judgment, keeping ourselves impartial and neutral as we consider the merits and pitfalls of each matter that is placed before us, and always act in accordance with what's best in our community and for our fellow citizens. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. So, members of council, are there any changes in order of items on the agenda this evening? Okay, seeing none, are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest and/or conflict of interest? Okay, and seeing none, we will move on. Item 6 on our agenda is always an opportunity for members of the public to address items on the agenda. Note, requests to address items on the agenda are restricted to specific items as follows per section 6.7 of the procedural bylaw. And 6.7 states that there shall be no comments from the public permitted at council unless A, a specific appointment has been scheduled, or B, an item is included under the other business or communications or appointments section of the agenda and relates to a matter which would normally be dealt with at committee. Are there any members of the public present who wish to address a specific item on the agenda as permitted by section 6.7 of the procedural bylaw? And seeing nothing, Kevin, is there anyone online this evening?
Not seeing any, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. So we did expect to have a presentation this evening, and I don't see any of the Shurton family. So perhaps we'll leave that for now, and then if they come in a little bit late, we'll put it in wherever we need to. And that works well for you, Regional Councillor Witteveen, because that puts your remarks before the presentation. So if you would like to present your remarks now, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for that, for giving me, moving me up in the agenda. So anyway, good evening, Mayor, councillors, staff, and members of the public. I'd like to start by letting councillors know that there will be a four-way stop installed at the intersection of Mud Street and South Guernsey Road 6, known as Park Road. We've been working on this with staff from early spring, doing traffic counts and addressing safety concerns brought forward by the public. In the past, this intersection has seen higher number of collisions over the past number of years, and this has become a popular route to access the QEW from our residents. There's two signs right now on Mud Street letting traffic know that this intersection will be a four-way stop, and the installation will take place in December after the appropriate warning period, and the design of the intersection will have the flashing red lights warning motorists of the intersection, similar to our Yonge Street and 30 Road. Another project that's on the go is the Oswego Creek Bridge. I know it's not in our community, but it's right next door. It's currently under construction, but there's been a delay for if you've come across any residents that are concerned where the project is. So they're doing an archaeological, they found an archaeological site there. So once this matter has been addressed, the construction will commence and the replacement of this structure. So I know it borders our municipality, but I know our residents use this bridge to cross over, I believe it's Haldeman, Dunville area, close to Dilts Road. So it's been closed for a while, but deemed unsafe, but councilors know bridges are costly and take time to queue them in the budget. Last Thursday evening at the Regional Council, we've been working at approving portions of our budget. We have adopted the 2025 waste management budget, and we have also approved the 2025 Transit Commission budget and requisition of the Niagara Special Levy tax. And lastly, we approved the water and wastewater budget for the period of January 1st, 2025 to the end of the year. And approving these rates will allow municipalities to set their rates for the services through their budget process. So as a newly appointed member of the NPCA board, I've been busy working with the agriculture community, commenting on a new draft watershed and conservation strategy. We want to make sure that agriculture remains a partner in the conservation's role. And I believe it was a 10-year strategy that they were working on. Also on November the 12th, the NPCA hosted an information evening focused on the ALICE program, which is Alternative Land Use Systems. And this program allows farmers to receive payments to conserve, restore natural features such as wetlands, creeks, shorelines, native grasses and trees, and unique ecosystems like tall prairie grass and oak savanna. In this way, parcels of farmland are converted into habitat for wildlife, and the organization seeks local conservations to partner and administer the program. So there's approximately 50 people at the Balls Falls that evening, and what it does, it compensates farmers for taking land out of marginal agriculture production, which is something that farmers have been asking for if they're going to take land out of food production and if they're going to do conservation initiatives, that they would be compensated for their effort. Another one here, 30 Road and Yonge Street. We're getting close to the study completion. This is Schedule C of the municipal class assessment. I think we saw that in the paper, and there was a comment period. So asked those that to go online, and I believe we have from November the 11th to December the 12th the report was there, and we can see what the consultant came up as options for that intersection. Even though we have a four-way stop there, the process had started to doing an EA, and once this EA is completed, then it will have to go to budget too. So it's whatever best option they choose will still have to come to a capital budget for budgeting purposes. So I just wanted councillors to know where that process was. And on the local front, I look forward to the tree lighting that will be happening Wednesday evening. And I will also be attending the annual Silverdale Christmas dinner, and I believe the mayor and John will be there supporting West Lincoln Community Care this Friday evening. Not sure if this event is sold out, but it's usually a popular event. And if you have any interest, I'm sure if you reach out to Christopher, you could find out whether it's sold out or if there's some openings there. And lastly, look forward to the Santa Claus Parade Saturday and hope to see you all there, and I'll be participating in that. And so thank you for the opportunity to present this evening. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to respond.
Okay, so thank you, Councillor. I would just add on that Councillor Bradwick and her husband and Councillor Teachout are also attending on Friday night, so we will see you then. Councillor Ryder, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Councillor Witteveen, thank you for the report. Thank you for the update. A couple questions here. One primarily speaking to some of our downtown area. In this past summer, the region had done some roadside painting, but they had forgotten an area just by It's off of Canberra, kind of just going into the business area. And so today we found out that I guess they're not able to rectify that oversight. And so I was just wondering if you could maybe take back, because I guess there's an, at least my understanding is that it's a budgetary matter now. They don't have enough money for painting, but I'm estimating about less than a dozen lines. So don't mean to blindside you with this information. That's just something I learned today. Just thought that would definitely be beneficial. People don't kind of are in an awkward place of figuring out how to parking. And I know winter's just around the corner. Snow's going to be covering up anyways. But I feel like whoever you guys maybe had that out to, whether it's staff or if it was a tender, that's certainly something that needs to be, I guess, looked a little bit more thoroughly. So even on your way out of town, if you stop just before you hit the light, you'll see right and left sides of your road there. There's like an apron that where people park. There's no, the paint has rotted away. It's almost non-existent. And so that was, I asked staff if that was our responsibility or the region. I was informed it was the region. And so when they reached out, the region said, we don't have any budget, put it plainly. And so I'm hoping that maybe you can take that back, especially being Chair of Public Works, you can express that concern. I guess the other question I have for you, back to you, Madam Mayor, to the councillor, is so recently, as you're likely aware, we have the speed cameras are once again sawed down. And so my question to you is actually inquiring specifically, when are they being relocated? Do you have a timeline for that? Because I feel like we've already, for the pilot purpose, you've already dealt with those areas. And I think we're probably approaching that point where they need to, whatever that next step is. And again, I don't know if this is a fair question to put you on the spot in, but just wondering if you can give a little bit insight of when we can expect those relocations to take place so that we're not just targeting two areas. I know there's many areas in the municipality that could, regional roads, of course, that could benefit from that reduction.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Riley, the program is designated to target community safety zones. That was always the intent. The intent was never to put automated speed cameras in problem areas. That was kind of the police's job. It was more the community safety areas. My understanding was we were one more time in a rotation. Okay. And that was obviously we were getting the warning for that, and other communities actually want to be in a rotation. So we have six to eight cameras that do rotate, but they are going to look at expanding the program. So that it takes time to work with the vendor because they have an agreement with the vendor initially. So that was, I mean, obviously just because the hardware is there doesn't mean there's a camera in there, and I think that's maybe there's an misunderstanding that just because it's there, it's just a pole at this present time, and yes, it's a common occurrence, or we see that around the GTA where they're cut down and they may not even have a camera in them. So that's the vendor has to come up with, I guess, a solution to once the camera's ready to be installed, that the hardware is still there. So it's a kind of a vendor's responsibility with the region. Obviously, the region's doing some of the base work to it, but at this time they're looking at expanding the program, but it's just in a community safety, and we had a conversation a couple weeks ago with consistency of speed through a community safety zone. There were some issues in Grimsby. I think we read that in our local papers on Highway 8 when we go through different school zones, and confusion of is it 50, 40 flashing lights, and so there's a conversation to streamline that and make it more consistent, that if you're in a school safety zone, it'll be 40 kilometers throughout the region. So as for motorists, it's not a guessing game, because that was part of the challenge, that people felt it was targeting people not understanding road signs, and so with making it more consistent throughout the region, where if we drove through different communities, we would know what to expect in a community safety zone. So that's what I have to update you with.
Okay, appreciate it. And if I could just do a follow-up, Madam Mayor, back through you to the councillor. I guess the other part of the question I'm also seeking, I know that we had, or not so much us, but I know there was some pre-approved other community safety zones, and I think they were around the schools as well. Gainsborough might have been one of them. I know if that's not that one.
Caster was looked at.
Caster, it was Caster, sorry. But assuming that the speed cameras aren't the answer to everything, has the region been discussing other types of traffic calming measures? Like, are you aware of anything else that could be beneficial to the community? If this is something that we can't rely on as a community year round, regardless of what's happening to the technology, there's still a speed issue. And so I'm just wondering if maybe other options are being explored during this time, or are they just relying on the speed cameras and hoping that it does it all?
Okay. Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Riley, we are. We went through the police budget, and it's not for the faint of heart, but we're bringing on more officers, as probably most people would prefer, that I've heard, would rather be pulled over by a police officer than ticketed by a camera. So the mayor and I have sat through this policing budget, which they've asked for an additional 33 officers to be phased in over a period of time to complement the force, and the mayor and I will definitely have to be lobbying to make sure that our Division 8 gets its share of those officers and have them patrol and have a greater presence in our community, because I think that's really what the residents been saying for many years, is that they appreciate having that presence in our community for traffic and for other issues. So that's what we're working on, Councillor Riley, is to give our police the resources to do their job as well.
Perfect, appreciate that. And honestly, like I think outside of the speeding aspect, having more police presence certainly would be embraced by this council and this community, just for the element that, we're a sitting duck community. Was not even a few months ago, it felt like every other day someone's car was getting stolen out of their driveway. So I certainly appreciate that, and I certainly hope you guys can deliver on that, because our community really needs that. Thank you.
Anything further for Councillor Whittabine? Okay. Seeing nothing, thank you, Councillor Whittabine, for presenting and for answering questions this evening. And okay, so we did reverse. I see that we do have our guests who were here before. So so Kai, I need to know, do you wish to talk a little bit about what your experience was? Okay, so members of council, we do have our delegation this evening, and you will recognize that Kai Shurton came before us before he went off on his adventure, and he's back to report on the success of his tour. So if you come up, Kai, the microphone there will record what it is that you're saying so that people can hear you. Yeah, and so exactly. So come for moral support, and then you can kind of share that a little bit if you like. Okay.
Where do I start?
Where do you start? Tell us about your time away.
So when I went down to Estonia, the first few days were just like getting used to the new area and adapting with like the sleep schedule as well, because our times are very different. And then we had some training periods where we did a few things, so that was quite nice. Of course, I didn't go all out on the first few training days, so that was good. And then once the tournament had come, I was extremely nervous when I went there, because there were so many different countries and so many different people there, where it was like professionals there, and you kind of think like, do you really belong there? But when I went there and I stepped onto the mats, got a feel for the mats before the tournament started, my body got more used to it, and my head was more into it at that time. And I felt more engaged and ready to go. And then all I had to do from there was just wait for a few more hours until the tournament started. And when they called out our category, I was getting to know a lot of the people in my categories. They're wonderful people, and I got to meet so many new friends from different countries as well, so that was very nice. So for the first part, it was kata, which is like a series of different movements, like punches, blocks, kicks, and etc. So when in my category, I was the first one to go for actually both kata and kumite, which is kumite is sparring. And I was very nervous because I didn't know how good my opponent was when I went out there. So it was kind of stressful thinking like I might lose on the first round. And I was scared of that. But when I went out there, I was second to go, so my opponent went first. I was quite confident when I went out. I did my kata, and I did it quite nicely, and I ended up getting 3 flags and won the first match. And then after that match, I did my second round, and continued to win from there. And then for my third round, I'd slightly wobbled a little bit on one of the parts in my kata, and I was unable to make it through that part. But then I was able to come back for the bronze match, and I managed to win there. And I managed to place with the bronze. So.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And then the next section after that was the kumite part. And we had to wait for a very long time because we had to wait until like 4 o'clock at that time there. And I managed to get rested up from the long time period in between. And definitely the kata helped me to get more used to the surrounding area and how people reacted. And then when I went in to do kumite, I felt kind of scared in kumite because of my size, because I'm versing like people who are like 5 inches taller than me, and it's quite overwhelming when you see someone that tall coming at you. But I managed to win my first match, and then on the second match I'd lost, but in the tournament, when if you lose on the second match, you still have a potential to win or move on to the next match, depending if the person you lost to wins the next round. And in that case, the opponent I versed went to the next round, so that meant I had another chance. So when I went out for my second chance, I managed to win, and then that placed me into the bronze match at that point. And I managed to win another bronze
and
medal.
He won another bronze. Yeah. So Kai, what's next? Because you've done this and you've done so well, I do believe that entitles you to something further, right? In terms of having won this. Would you like to explain that to council? What happens next for you?
Well, actually, I'm planning to head on to the World Tournament in Finland, I think in June? Yeah.
So do you have to fundraise all over again?
Yep.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so if you recall, when Kai was before us before, he had been training and fundraising and trying to help pay for the costs of going. And that's why he came actually that night, and we gave him a little bit of advertisement, and Kiwanis made a donation on his behalf. So stay tuned, he'll probably be looking
This
again
time,
for.
however, we're taking a team.
Oh, are you? Okay,
taking-
okay.
At present, 5 competitors from my school. that are
Wonderful,
going, so.
wonderful. Well, good for you as well. Well, we do have a certificate for you, Kai, in recognition of your 2 bronze medals.
Take
So
your
I'm
medals
going to
and show
just-
them. Go ahead.
You know, to have a small town West Lincoln guy do as well as you did, that's coming from. You can show your medals and we'll hold you to the your dad can do it today too, so.
I'll come over here.
Yeah. Shiny, you want those shiny medals.
Perfect.
Good job.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you for coming.
Thank you for the donations as well.
That's a good news story in our community, I think, so, well done. Okay, that takes us then to item 9, which is confirmation of minutes, and Councillor Chichok, you have the council minutes from October 28th?
I do, Madam Mayor. So, moved by myself that the minutes relating to the October 28th, 2024 council meeting and the recommendations contained therein be accepted, and that the confidential minutes relating to the closed session portion of October 28th, 2024 council meeting be accepted, and that the minutes remain confidential and restricted from public disclosure in accordance with exemptions provided in Section 239 of the Municipal Act.
Thank you. Someone to second those minutes, please? Councillor Riley? Are there any questions or comments regarding the open portion of these minutes? Okay, and seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please. Let's see if it... Yeah, it might take a minute. Oh, it's up for me.
It's there, right? Look at that. Going like a tiger there.
Got everybody? Okay. That resolution carries. That takes us to 9.2. Councillor Riley, you have the public meeting under the Planning Act minutes.
I do, Madam Mayor. Move by myself that the minutes of the November 11th, 2024 planning meeting held under Section 34 of the Planning Act with respect to zoning bylaw amendment for Bradley and Kimberly Killens and NGF Property Inc., Agent Ethan Lemon, Upper Canada Consultants, property address 5357 and 5377 Echo Roads, file number 1601-01124 be accepted.
Thank you. Someone to second that, please? Councillor Trombetta, thank you. Any questions or comments about that meeting? Okay. We're ready, Mr. Clerk, please. So there are no communications this evening, and that takes me to the mayor's remarks, which are fairly short tonight. I'd like to begin my remarks for November by warmly welcoming newly elected Councillor Greg Maychak to the Council of the Township of West Lincoln. I'm very pleased to have our council back to our full complement of mayor and 6 councillors, 2 elected from each of our 3 wards. Additionally, I'd like to publicly thank the other Ward 3 residents who opted to take part in this recent by-election: Stephanie Benaza, Heather Gill, Doug Joyner, and Gord McCharles. It's an excellent sign that our community is growing positively when we have 5 people willing to step up to try to help make good decisions for our residents. Since our last council meeting, in addition to attending 3 regional budget-related meetings, I think Councillor Woodavine alluded to the number of budget meetings we've been having, 3 regional committee meetings, and regional council. I have represented West Lincoln at a provincial funding announcement at Big Country Raw, our local Remembrance Day ceremony, the ribbon cutting of a new business in Smithville named Arms Open Counseling, in the building, actually, that Wayne has now on St. Catherine Street, a tour of Big Country Raw and their follow-up meeting with the Grand Erie Business Center Board, and along with our CAO, the Niagara Association of Realtors, Growing Niagara Housing Symposium. On another note, I want to thank our recreation staff, especially Holly, Brianne, and Lindsay, for the seniors event that they put together this past Saturday night. They not only organized the evening for older adults, but gave up their own Saturday evening for this event. About 60-plus older adults were in attendance to listen or dance to great oldies music. Snacks were provided, as were 2 drink tickets per person. It was obvious just how important getting out to socialize is to our residents. I will remind everyone that this event was free, thanks to the provincial grant that staff attained earlier this year, so as to be able to provide a variety of activities for our senior population. Many of us are acutely aware of the overall shortage of physicians. News articles have indicated that several of the larger municipalities throughout the province have been trying to encourage physician recruitment in various ways, including financial incentives. Niagara is not immune to this issue, and as a result, a large-scale region-wide physicians recruitment roundtable has been in the works for the past month or 2. It is actually taking place tomorrow from 9 to 1, and both our CAO and I will be in attendance. This event is not open to the public, as these preliminary discussions take place between all heads of local councils, all CAOs, health sector partners, local physicians, members of the post-secondary sector, and some senior regional staff. The purpose of the event is to identify how best to build on and accelerate the recent successes that some local area municipalities have realized in the highly competitive area of primary care physician recruitment. The focus will be on how to best build and sustain momentum in this important area. So after tomorrow, we may have some further things to reply and come back to you with, but at this point, unless you read the Standard this morning, you might not be aware that many of the communities are offering various sizes of remuneration to try to bring physicians in. Following the suggestion at our meeting last week regarding calendar invitations for our local events, I hope that you all received those invites from Jackie and have responded based on your personal schedules. I will just take this opportunity to remind Council and the public about our Jillian's Place flag raising tomorrow at 1 p.m. This flag is being raised to show that our municipality is in support of standing up against gender-based violence. We have our community tree lighting, as Councillor Whitty mentioned, West Lincoln Shines, starting at 6:15 on Wednesday with free hot dogs and hot chocolate. And of course, we have our winter market starting at 9 a.m. and our parade on Saturday of this week, beginning at 5 p.m., where Council this year is apparently leading off the parade rather than coming in close to the end. So if you're used to being there and in, we can't hang out in the back. We have to be up front this year. So hopefully many members of Council will be able to join in the fun this year. And that concludes my remarks for this evening. Okay. So that takes us to number 12, which is reports of committees. And under Planning, Building, Environmental Committee, Councillor Riley, you also have that resolution.
I do, Madam Mayor. Moved by myself that the minutes relating to the November 11th, 2024 Planning, Building, and Environmental Committee meeting and the recommendations contained therein be accepted.
Okay, and someone to second that? Councillor Bradrick? Okay, any questions or comments on those minutes? Mr. Clerk, please. That resolution carries. And Councillor Trombetta, you have the Administration, Finance, and Fire minutes from November 18th, please.
Yes, Madam Mayor, moved by myself that the minutes relating to the November 18th, 2024 Administration, Finance, and Fire Committee meeting and the recommendations contained therein be accepted.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments relating to those? Oh, need a seconder. Councillor Rayner, thank you. I have you as a seconder, but I also know that you have a question, so.
I have a question, yes. I'd like to bring up to discuss item A58-27. It was a PowerPoint presentation on the organizational restructuring chart that our CAO, Trooper McBride, brought up last week. I was the only one on committee last week who did not support it, and I wanted to explain why, and I'm sure down the road we will hear more about it. Trooper McBride was brought in order to make the Township of West Lincoln more efficient in its operation. We have not had an organizational review in all the times I've been here, and this is my 5th CAO, and it was needed in order to make sure that the individuals that are employed under the township have the right qualifications and are working at their peak ability. So Mr. McBride came in and he reorganized it. And what he did was he changed it in many ways and shapes. My perception of this when Trooper first came on board was we need an organizational chart, we need to restructure this, but we need to restructure it in a way that we're maximizing the manpower that we have on staff right now and are getting the most from them. My intent was not to increase staffing or increase the taxable cost to the taxpayer in order to hire additional staff. I didn't want a pyramid build, and I can tell you by knocking on doors that taxpayers are very conscientious of township and the staff, and they really want to make sure that it's a lean run machine, because really a lot of them get frustrated. That's why our counselors get called and we go in to help resolve issues. What I'm concerned about is, and it'll come up in budget, that this reorganizational chart may require additional people and additional costs to the taxpayers of the township, which was not the hope that I had when the reorganizational chart was done. What I tried to do was make sure that the proper people are in the proper position, doing the job to the maximum capabilities that the position requires, which some of us have felt that there are times and individuals that may not be doing that. So this is the time to do that. I was not anticipating that it would also be an opportunity to increase staffing and the tax burden associated with it to taxpayers. So at this point, Madam Mayor, all I want to do is explain why I did not support it. I think it will come out in further discussions at budget time, at which case the public will have an idea of possibly the implications. And I'm also hoping at that time that there may be other ways that we can resolve the organizational chart in a productive way that would not be a tax burden to the residents of this township. So that's basically all I wanted to say
Thank
with
you.
regard to that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're bordering on being off topic in terms of this, but I'm going to just go, first of all, to our CAO to see if he wants to respond in any way to that, since he was directly implicated in this.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I respect the councillor's comments and position.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just going to follow up with Councillor Rayner, what he was mentioning there. As much as we did an organizational review that the CAO has done, I just want for clarity that for people in cyberspace and people sitting in the gallery, that we have not hired anybody, nor are we at this moment intending on hiring anybody until we actually see what comes forward in budget. This is a plan that was been brought forward by the CAO that is brought forward to us, but we are the governing body who decide to go forward with it or not. Accepting it doesn't mean we are hiring anybody or moving forward with anything until we see what's coming out in our February budget and or March budget.
Okay, so.
So at this moment, I just want to be clear, we haven't, because the way you came off, Madam Mayor,
Yeah.
Councilor Rayner, that we are hiring people, but we haven't.
May I comment
Of
on
course.
that, Madam Mayor?
No,
please?
just, this
No,
is,
no,
this
you can
is,
let it-
just 1 second, please. Really, this is supposed to be just a discussion about these minutes. If you want to do a further pick apart of this, I'm sure that we need to go to our clerk to find out what's appropriate. When we have minutes before us, we can ask a question about the minutes, we can get particular information about the minutes, but we're really confirming the fact that these minutes actually say what happened at the meeting.
I
And what
appreciate
happened
you
at the
understand that.
meeting actually was that we voted in favor of accepting that, and that's what these minutes represent. So we have to be really careful that we're not crossing a line here.
But I'm just
And
saying.
I understand that you're clarifying.
He's entitled to his
I do.
opinion, but I'm just trying to say, we haven't, the way it came off, Councilor Rayner, is that we're hiring people,
No.
but we haven't though yet. That's all. Go ahead.
Anyway,
May-
so no, just 1 second, please. Let's go to the clerk and find out where we are legally standing on this.
So through the chair, to the rest of council, the mayor's correct. These are comments and concerns regarding the minutes and what had happened to discuss the item to the fuller extent that it would be required that we're actually discussing A, what was in the report, or B, any type of information that we would like to see changed, amended, or even a slight direction, whether that be verbal or written, would need to be a reconsideration motion, which would follow later on. What I took Councillor Rayner's comments to be were just that, comments about what had happened and why he had voted that way, which was a result noted in the minutes. But anything further than that would need to be dealt with under the reconsideration clause, because then we would be delving into considerations of that outcome and reconsidering that. So for now, I'm taking those as comments. If it goes farther, however, we would need to cease discussions and then wait till a reconsideration motion.
Thank you. Councillor Chichon.
As a point of order, Madam Chair, I can't let this go into cyberspace and have people understand that two things that Councillor Rayner, and Councillor Rayner certainly has the ability to make the comments he does, but our CAO was not hired to reorganize our staff. Our CAO, and I don't think we go into this now, but in fact, it is on.
No mics.
Oh, sorry. Our CAO was charged with a number of things. And I think that there's a very, very thin line that's going through with what we are expecting him to do. Ultimately, a lot of talk has gone on about the growth that is going to go in this municipality, and there's a fine line on how quickly we man up for the needed positions that will be there. So I think right at this moment, I will accept Councillor Rayner's objection to what it is that occurred, but we will talk more fulsomely about this at budget and have a time to phase.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to be brief, I took Councillor Rayner's comments as just something as simple as he was just sharing why he voted away. I don't know if it was because members of the public maybe reached out to him to inquire, and so I don't think he was coming. I didn't hear any motion to make a suggestion otherwise, so I don't know if we've crossed that line. There was a suggestion that we kind of got close to it. So
We're very close to it.
Okay, so I just
Yeah.
want to make sure, my understanding is he was just kind of airing his concerns, and I think he has a right to do so, but I didn't think we were getting into a new motion there, so.
Yeah, but if the concerns were indicating a change in direction or a suggestion of a
Correct.
change in direction, we skirted it. And I think that's why Councillor Tornbetta felt that he needed to rebut that a little bit, because we are not making decisions, and these minutes don't make decisions other than to accept the report and to follow through on that,
Nope.
so.
Appreciate it.
I do think that, Councilor Rayner did start with the comment. He's entitled to give a little bit of a rebuttal what I said. I just thought it came off differently. Again,
Yeah.
he's entitled to his opinion, which he's right, but the way it came off, it sounded, maybe he wanted to kind of, not change his words, but the way I maybe misunderstood it. That's all. That it sounded like we are intending on hiring people, but we can't until we have a budget process,
Well,
right?
Other
So-
than we have pre-approved, we
So-
have to fill a position that is vacant.
I think
so.
it's fair for him to kind of maybe go back to him to actually answer myself, at least to me, if it's fair.
No, so I'm not going to go back, and I'll tell you why, because in actual fact, if we look at our procedural bylaw, a councillor who votes against something is entitled to say, I have voted against this because, and that would have been at the time of these minutes. So at the time of a vote, if you are in opposition to a vote, any vote that we take, you are entitled to express your opinion as to why you are not voting in support of something. But this is not the time. This is the time to just say, are these minutes correct? Is there something that was missing in the minutes that should have been there? Is there something that was incorrect in the minutes? And unless there's something that was incorrect in these minutes just say that what happened at the meeting happened at the meeting. And that's, so it's about timing. It's not about the issue of who says what. It's about the when that we say it, so. Okay, so we're all good then? So let's have a vote on those minutes, please. Mine didn't come up. Oh, here it did. Just came. Okay. You got everybody? Oh, I thought I did. I did. Did it not come up? I did vote, and it did come. Okay, now we've got everybody? Yeah, I did. Is it slow tonight? Okay, so that also carries, which takes us to the Public Works and Recreation Committee minutes from the same night, November 18th. And Councilor Rayner, you have those, please.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move by myself that the minutes relating to the November 18th, 2024 Public Works and Recreation Committee meeting and the recommendations contained therein be accepted.
Thank you. Someone to second that? Councilor Broderick? Okay. Any questions about those minutes? Any comments about those minutes? Okay, so then I think we're ready, Mr. Clerk. It's not working? Oh,
Oh, there it is. It's working.
our clerk is, okay, there we go.
It's working.
We're up again. Okay, so that also carries. So fortunately, we have nothing to reconsider tonight, and we have no notices of motion to rescind. So that takes us to other business, and under there, members of council. And I'm actually going to start with our newest member of council, because this is your opportunity. Councilor Maychak, if you have something you'd like to say.
Nope, you turned it off.
You,
If you take the little phone thing off, you can see the light on it.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate that. No, of course, I want to thank my wife and Heather Tallons and Wayne and all my supporters and the people who went door to door. But I also want to take a moment to recognize our town clerk. He provided a lot of background prior to the election, and during the election campaign, there was a lot of questions, and throughout the process, he took the time and quickly responded to any questions or concerns that the town may had. So I just thought it was important. I do have a letter here for his employee file, just to say thanks to the town clerk, because I thought he did an excellent job, especially knowing it was above and beyond his regular duties. So I just wanted to thank Justin and everyone who helped me through the process. Appreciate it.
thank you. Okay. Councilor Broderick, anything for you tonight? Nothing. Councilor Trombetta? No? Councilor Riley?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the comments I have this evening, I have a couple, but I want to publicly welcome Greg, or Councilor Maychak, I should say, formally to council. I think we saw a very positive election in terms of seeing the interest and the growing interest in representing our community and being able to make those statements. So I appreciate that. I think it says a lot. We saw in the last general election, some municipalities went without anybody putting their name in a ward. So I think it says a lot. So I'm very inspired to see what the future holds. I guess I have two more things I want to mention. The other thing I wanted to mention, Madam Mayor, you brought up about the physician recruitment strategy that's among us. If you recall, last term you and myself championed that and ensured that made it into our strategic plan, our long-term planning. So nice to see that we were kind of ahead of the time of recognizing that even before the pandemic and all that craziness. And I certainly hope that can be successful, because that is something a lot of people are struggling with locally, finding reliable physicians, reliable medical providers of any capacity, and not having to travel hours outside of their municipality. So I hope you guys can be successful and hope we can come up with some really good strategies that will attract that. I hear Lincoln, for example, kind of put a dollar figure out there and then called on their community partners to see if they can help beef that up, and maybe we could look at something similar. The other comment I wanted to make, and I wanted to address it to our CEO. I kind of filled him in a little bit beforehand, just to let you know. But one of the things I've been hearing, actually as of today, and I didn't realize, is that some of the construction that's happening just actually not too far from us down the road, some of the contractors are showing up around 5 to 5:30 in the morning, letting their vehicles idle, and then they're starting construction around 6:15. So I guess to our CAO, if it's just clarification, my understanding is that the noise bylaw would actually also prevent that as well, and so some of these residents are quite upset. It's not at all what they anticipate, and this is not something that just happened today. It's been going on for weeks, and so one of the other things that was brought to my attention is that they have made some efforts to reach out to the municipality, but they've felt that they've gone unheard. I don't know if that may be because we've had some staff change, if that's part of the miss, but if maybe we could look into what that looks like and what actually we could do to ensure that our contractors are operating during the regular proper hours and not disrupting people. When you get a resident who's calling you because they've had the last few weeks of no sleep, we can all relate. If we don't get enough sleep, we're not going to be the best tempered. And so I think they've managed that very well, considering. But I certainly think that's unfair to put them through. It's great that we have some infrastructure that we're trying to correct and update in that area, but I don't think it should come at the state of depriving people of sleep. So maybe through you, Madam Mayor, to the CEO, if you can comment maybe what steps can be taken to reach out to that contractor and what we can do to resolve this sooner rather than later.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Mr. CEO.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Riley. I did speak with the Director of Public Works before the meeting, and he's going to be following up with the contractors tomorrow morning to make it clear that there's no start before the noise bylaw permits with the work to start, and the temporary stop sign that is down, or sorry, the permanent stop sign that is down will be erected back up tomorrow. Whether it's the permanent or a temporary one, there will be one going in its place.
Perfect, thank you. And that was the other part of the puzzle there I forgot to mention, is that there's a stop sign that's been down for over a week. And I guess today there was a bit of a dicey moment that had put potentially some lives at risk that we're hopefully going to rectify and have that corrected moving forward. Because again, I guess maybe the last thing I could just mention, or at least have you see clarity, is I certainly hope that they can find a better location to let their vehicles idle. I don't know where that's going to be, but I think, even if they don't start the work, let's say to 7 o'clock or 7:01, if they're having their vehicles idle at 5 in the morning, that's still just as disruptive. So maybe we can advocate and express that if you need to come in the municipality early, go to Tim Hortons. I mean, let it idle there, and it's only 5 minutes right down the road to get to where you need to go. So other than that, that's all my comments this month. I will be part of the Santa Claus Parade, and I'll make it out to the tree lighting and anything else we have going. So I look forward to seeing you guys there.
Terrific. Great. Thank you. Councillor Chichok, anything for you this evening?
Well, Madam Mayor, going behind you is always tricky, but I think that the things we have coming up this week take repeating. So
Repeat.
repeat, and people will remember more. First of all, I want to thank all of the young people from Fort who were helping with the Smile Cookies at Tim Hortons. There was concern earlier in the week that Smile Cookies were going to be low on the labor market to try and get ahead of the want. Smile Cookies, while I don't know the number, I do know that we were doing very well at our local Tim Hortons, and that Smile Cookies were available right till Sunday night. And Fort, I have to tell you, the enthusiasticness of the children, young people that were helping with it, certainly made it a worthwhile effort. Secondly, yes, you've already mentioned, as Councillor Woodavine, the Silverdale dinner. I do believe there's still a couple of tickets left if anybody wants them. It's a great fun night for everyone.
Councillor, could I just interrupt for a minute? Because just so to make it clear, there aren't tickets for that dinner. You just reach out to Chris Furr, not
right.
Furr, but Furr, Chris Furr.
There are seats available.
There are seats,
How would you be happy with that?
but you don't buy a ticket for this
No.
particular dinner. It's a community care dinner that they do. So essentially, you get a free dinner, and you just write a donation check to West Lincoln Community Care.
You're right.
So it's tricky when you're talking about tickets, because it's not like you have to purchase a ticket ahead of time. It's just come. If you feel like supporting West Lincoln Community Care at this time of year, you still get a donation receipt, and that's how they've operated for, I'm going to say, at least 15 years that I'm aware of. So go ahead, but thank you for that.
I
plug
appreciate
again for
the
them.
correction, Madam Mayor. You're right. I guess I was talking about seats. You still need to know that there's a seat in there for you. So you
They'll
still
make
need to call, and while it's no ticket, you make the judgment on how much that meal is worth to you. So it is a donation, and certainly community care is in need of donations. That's something else I learned yesterday, was that community care is struggling this year because there are more and more families still in need, and they are struggling to find people to donate the money for the gift cards that are being given to the families that have adult children or older children who no longer qualify for a gift but are given a gift certificate to go and get their own. So if anybody doesn't want to go to the dinner and wants to donate money, community care loves it, but this dinner is where some of that money comes from. On top of that, there's the sale of tickets for a draw being sponsored by Kiwanis and 4-H to support community care. And you'll see it around. It'll be at the Christmas market. It'll be at a few other places. You can see it on the website. But it, too, is selling tickets for a draw on 10 pretty significant gifts that might be of use in your Christmas list. So if you've got extra money and you haven't got anything to do with it, the tickets are $2 for one, $3 for $5, and 10 for $10. So look for those people. They will be at the community center on Saturday, just before the parade, but at the Christmas market. So spend it all. The Christmas market is coming up, but I can't leave the tree lighting. The tree lighting is an event for Kiwanis in partnership with the township, who provides some of the labor that gets the tree all dressed. But that tree lighting is, as the mayor said, happening at 6:15 on, pardon me, Wednesday evening. There'll be hot chocolate and hot dogs, and the Kiwanis will be there handing out tickets for door prizes, but most importantly, to see the awe on the children's faces as the tree is lit for another year. And that, Madam Mayor, while a duplication of what you've said, is what I had to say.
Thank you. You had many new items, and that's good. Councillor Rayner, anything this evening?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Last week I attended NPEI, had an open house for a new transmission center that's going in Lincoln. It was held at the Fleming Center in Beamsville. This new transformer station is going to be built close to the area of Frost Street and Spring Creek. And it's a 2-transformer station and will be used to handle the expected increase in electrical needs for both Lincoln and West Lincoln.
Thank you. Good information. Okay, so that comes back to my little piece of paper. and so one of the things in terms of looking actually today for responsibilities and duties for Councillor Maychak, I came across our original things, and the acting mayor rotation actually changes on Saturday. And so Councillor Rayner has been since the 1st of April the acting mayor, and that moves. He finishes on Saturday. Thank you very much for accepting that role this time. And you didn't have to do too much, so that's all okay. You never know when somebody might need to step in. But Councillor Chichok, I don't know if you're aware that you take over next. So,
Following you and Mike, I don't know if I can take this.
So you are then December 1st of 24 to the 31st of July of 25. And then you actually are on the list, Councillor Maychak, but Councillor Bradrick goes in the next section ahead of you. So, but the end of our term, April 1st to November 15th of 26, you will be then acting mayor. So you've got 18 months to sort of figure out what you're doing. and no, it's not a big deal, but when I came across that, I thought this is a good time. Probably we will, for our next all-committee meeting, we will have to put probably still a resolution forward. We were discussing that today, not knowing whether we needed to set the committees. But since we also have new names, it would probably be appropriate to put it forward that way so that we actually have it in our bylaws moving forward. Okay, so that is the end of my information as well. Are there any items of new business this evening? Okay. That does take us then to confidential matters. And so I'm going to ask actually Councillor Maychak if you would move the resolution.
Prior to
it's
that,
there for you.
Madam Mayor, we'll be declaring, sorry,
Yeah,
Councillor.
so that,
I will be declaring a conflict.
which is why I jumped your.
Which
okay.
I was going to ask, obviously, and I was hearing you saying that, but do you want me to declare it now or after you read
Well,
it out?
let's get it read.
Okay.
And Shelley, for a minute, can help Greg know what to do with that, since it's the first time. I thought it was a good place for him to start. And then you will declare your conflict. Okay.
Moved by myself that the next portion of this meeting be closed to the public to consider the following pursuant to section 23(9), bracket 2 of the Municipal Act 2001.
And the rest of them.
And you have to keep reading.
Okay, 17.1, Director of Legislative Service Clerk, Justin Paylove, nomination appointment to the Peninsula West Power, Inc.
And then we have applicable closed exemptions that allow us to go into confidential. So you need to read those as well, please.
Personal matters about identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. 17.1, Director of Legislative Service Clerk, Justin Paylove, renomination of appointment to Peninsula West Power, Inc.
Thank you. So we need someone to second going into closed session. Councillor Rayner, thank you. Okay, Mr. Clerk.
And then before we enter into closed session, I have a short message for council and staff. As a reminder to both council and staff, confidentiality from closed session discussions is essential to safeguard the interests of the corporation and its residents. Under the Municipal Act 2001, all members are required to uphold the confidentiality to protect the integrity of council's decisions and ensure compliance with legislative obligations.
Thank you. So we need to take our vote to go into confidential.
So I've declared my conflict.
Go ahead, Jason. Go ahead.
Pardon?
Go ahead and
Thank you.
and declare. Yeah. Yeah. Do you want you've
I've declared it to you, so I have
you've
declared
declared it
conflict.
to me. Do you want? Yeah. Do you want to do it out loud, or do you want to
Oh, I
just?
can, yes, I've declared
Okay.
conflict that I've been declaring conflict on this next portion of the meeting due to I was appointed to president of that board, so I will not be voting on these matters. Thank you.
Thank you, okay. And so you're just going to go have a chocolate in my office? But come back for bylaws, okay? Oh, he can't go far, okay. Okay, it did come up, so did it come up for everybody to move into confidential?
I already went into confidential, so.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So we're back in open session. We've just had a resolution to bring us back into open, and I'm going to ask the clerk to read what came out of open, please, that we are disclosing.
Through the mayor and to the rest of council and to any residents watching, the following resolution was passed and carried in closed session, and I will read it for public disclosure now. That the email received from Mr. Brian Walker, President of Peninsula West Power Incorporated, dated September 16th, 2024, requesting the Township of West Lincoln to nominate representatives to sit on the Board of Directors of Peninsula West Power Incorporated for a 2-year term be received, and that Councilor Bradrick and Councilor Riley be recommended for appointment on the Board of Directors of Niagara Peninsula Power Incorporated for a 2-year term per bylaw effective January 1st, 2025 and expiring on December 31st, 2026.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Okay, so that takes us to bylaws, and Councillor Bradrick, you have bylaws this evening.
Yes, I do, Mayor. Moved by myself that leave be granted to introduce bylaws 2024-76, 2024-77, 2024-78, 2024-79, 2024-80, and 2024-81. At the same shall be considered to have been read a first, second, and third time with one reading, and are hereby adopted, and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to sign and affix the corporate seal thereto, any rule of this council to the contrary notwithstanding.
Thank you. And someone to second the bylaws, please? Councillor Riley. Okay, and Mr. Clerk, I think we're ready. Nobody's ready to pull anything? Okay. So you're ready to vote then, Councillor? Okay.
Should come up.
Okay, it should come up if everything's still working properly.
It's only yours.
Okay, it does. Mine hasn't come up?
No, you're, mine good?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Everybody else, I don't know why
Yeah, I don't know
it
why
stayed
yours
up. Okay, and the bylaws passed for this evening, which brings us to the end of this meeting, and I will adjourn this meeting over at 8:22.